Drivers here in Denver are paying over $1,700 a year because of our bad roads, and our traffic delays are climbing faster than anywhere else in the country. Yet, thousands of people keep moving here to Denver. And after 27 years of living here, I'm gonna give you my honest thoughts of what I think pulls people in and what pushes them out, and what actually happens once that honeymoon phase ends. But don't skip out early, because what Denver's planning next could reshape the entire city for the better. And you'll want to know that before you decide anything. Now, if you ask me what's kept me here in Denver for almost 30 years, it really comes down to two things really. And that, of course, is the weather and the outdoor lifestyle. Now, Denver gets around 245 sunny or partly sunny days a year, and that's about 70% of the year. And even though you're always gonna hear about, we get 300 days of sunshine, the real number is a little bit lower. But here's the thing, when you include those partly cloudy days with at least some sun, Denver actually hits above 300. You actually get about 320 days with sunshine annually. So we get sun almost every day. And that's way above the national average, which is about 205 sunny days per year. So this makes Denver one of the sunniest major cities in the entire country. Got to get that vitamin D. What's really great is how balanced the seasons are here also. You get all 4 seasons, but none of them are super extreme like you find in other cities. In winter, you get about 45-degree days with lows between 16 and 18 degrees. And you're not dealing with those crazy 115-degree summers like Phoenix or Las Vegas. And you're not getting those crazy long freezing stretches like in Chicago or Minneapolis. Denver kind of sits right in the middle. You get, some nice warm days, some cold days, you get snow, sunshine, but nothing that knocks you out for months. And here's something that most people don't expect. Denver's winters change really fast. Of course it gets cold. You're gonna see, those freezing temperatures, but it doesn't stay that way very long. It can literally snow one day and then it's 40 or 50 degrees the next day. Snow is gone. And it's not weird to have days with 60 degrees in the winter. The sun comes out and you're back outside again. And that's why golf courses and some outdoor cafes stay open the whole year. It's that quick shift that makes it one of the best parts of living here. Now, because of the weather, you got access to so many outdoor activities all year long. Denver serves as a gateway to, I think it's 12 major ski resorts within a 2-hour drive. So in the winter, you can drive like an hour or so and get right to Loveland Ski Area, also Winter Park, both about 50 or 60 miles right from Denver here. Echo Mountain is super close, only about 50 minutes from downtown Denver. You also got your renowned destinations like Vail and Breckenridge, and all of these are easy day trips. Now, all the sunshine and outdoor matters even more when you figure out whether this lifestyle actually fits you. And I'll break down the kind of person who really thrives here a little bit later here in the video. But first, let's talk about the options you get in the summertime. You get endless options for hiking. Inside the city alone, Denver has a ton of parkland, miles of trails, and hundreds of parks to explore. Most residents can walk to a park in just a few minutes, which is pretty rare for a major city. And if you love being on the water, you can head to a mountain reservoir like Dillon, or you can take a small boat on the lakes inside the city like Chatfield Reservoir. Now, Denver has plenty of recreation centers, so staying active is super easy all year. Now, all of that, the sunshine, the quick weather shifts, the outdoors is what keeps so many of us here for a long time. But that doesn't mean loving a city, you can ignore all of its flaws. So let me walk you through some of the things that do make living in Denver a little tougher. But first, if we haven't met yet, I'm Gary Bradler. I've spent the last decade helping people buy and sell homes all across the Denver area, and I absolutely love breaking down what's actually happening in this market. So if you're thinking about making Denver your next hometown, or you just want to know about the city's growth, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Now, for a place that's grown nearly 30% since 2000, you would expect the roads here to look a whole lot better than they do. But that's exactly the issue. The city's grown way faster than the pavement. Now, as much as I love Denver, there are a few things that really do bother me. And the biggest one is pretty simple. The city grew way faster than the roads did. And I've grown up in Colorado. I've lived in Colorado Springs. I've lived here in Denver for quite a while. And I've watched this place explode with population growth. But the roads and the basic infrastructure just didn't keep up. So check this out. Colorado actually got a C- on the 2025 infrastructure report card. Now look this up. So Denver drivers lost an average of 44 hours in traffic last year. And in 2023, the average time was 37 hours. So it's increasing almost 20% year over year. Now that marks Denver one of the most congested metropolitan areas in the United States. Now Denver is still nowhere near the traffic you see in places like New York or Chicago, but the problem is how fast this problem is growing. And the worst part is that you really feel it in your wallet too. Now, drivers have to spend a lot of money on repairs because of the bad road conditions. I've had to replace many wheels because of those potholes. And beyond the rough roads, people spend a lot more time sitting in traffic now than they used to. So between delays, slowdowns, and that wasted gas, it adds up pretty quick. You know, the other thing I miss is the old Denver feel. When I was growing up, the city felt smaller. It had more of that close-knit, almost everybody knows each other vibe. It was really easier to get around, and it just felt a lot more personal. Today, Denver has grown into this just major city, and with that comes just a different pace. And look, growth is normal. People move in, businesses grow, neighborhoods change, but there's still something that was special about that quieter, smaller Denver that I do miss. And the growth isn't slowing down. You know, the metro area already has millions of people, and there'll probably be a lot more coming in the coming years. By the time we look a couple decades ahead, Denver could have nearly 1 million more residents than it does today. Now that's a huge jump, and it puts even more pressure on an infrastructure that, like I mentioned, is struggling to keep up. Now, these bad things don't make Denver a terrible place to live, but they do kind of shape the kind of lifestyle you'll have here. And that brings us to an important question. Who actually thrives in this city and who might struggle with it? Now, with the pros and cons in mind, let's talk about who really ends up loving Denver and who may not. Now, Denver isn't the perfect fit for everyone, but after helping so many people relocate here over the years, I can usually tell pretty quickly whether someone's going to enjoy living here or whether another city might make more sense. First, if you're someone who loves being outside, Denver is gonna feel like home. Skiing, snowboarding, hiking, biking, boating, it's literally all right here, and most of it is just a short drive away. Now, the weather makes this lifestyle easy too. We have those great sunny days, and quick changes in the winter weather mean you're not stuck indoor for weeks at a time. So if you're the kind of person who needs fresh air, open space, and constant movement, I think Denver checks that box every single day. Now, if you're in tech, Denver is becoming a really solid choice. The city added more than 47,000 new tech jobs over the past 5 years, and a lot of major tech companies are growing here. Now, here's the good part. The average tech salary in Denver stretches further than it does places like San Francisco or Seattle, where the cost of living makes it tough for families and first-time buyers. And this becomes even more important once you see what Denver is building right now, huge projects that are going to redefine whole neighborhoods. Stay with me to see that later. And Denver is a great spot for families. You've got really great schools, plenty of sports programs, and neighborhoods that feel safe and connected. Parks and open spaces are everywhere, so kids get a lot of time outside. When you combine that with the overall lifestyle, it's so easy to see why many families are choosing this area. Now, here's something you need to think about. The median home price in Denver is around $614,000, and that's up about 4.5% from last year. So Denver works best for people who are in a good spot financially and can take these home prices comfortably. Now, once you look at the lifestyle, the job market, and the housing costs all together, you start to see who's built for Denver. But even when the fit is right, there are still things the city could improve on, and us locals talk about it all the time. Now let's get into that. Now Denver could be an even better city with one big change, and that's getting the basics caught up to the growth that's already happened here. And I think the biggest issue without question is the infrastructure. The roads need real upgrades to keep up with how fast the city keeps growing. And here's the good news. I've heard Denver's trying to tackle this. Starting in 2025, the city is going to collect a new property fee that should bring in about $40 million a year for the transportation department. That money is supposed to help build an actual plan for how people move around the city. But it's not just for the road. Denver needs to handle growth in a smarter way overall. The number of people living here has jumped so fast that everything feels tight. The city just needs to plan better and plan ahead instead of reacting after these problems show up. Better long-term planning would help prevent a lot of the stress that we're seeing right now. Now, here's something a lot of us locals talk about, and honestly, I feel it too. The funding priorities don't always feel balanced. You see these massive projects happening across the city, and yet the roads still need major work. And let's not forget about the homelessness, which is still a serious problem here. So people look at all of this and think, why are we spending on big flashy projects when the basics aren't getting fixed? And I get the point. You know, these huge developments can boost the economy and bring in revenue down the road, but what people think is hard to ignore. The future projects include $175 million for parks and recreation, which is, awesome. We love that. But when you put that next to our C- infrastructure and the fact that drivers here pay about $1,700 a year because of bad roads, you can see why people are speaking up. Fixing these important issues would make a huge difference in, day-to-day life, especially as the city keeps growing. And speaking of growth, Denver's future is taking a new look with some massive projects that are going to completely change how this place works and feels. Now, the city is working on a lot of big changes, and there are some really exciting stuff coming to Denver that I'm excited about. We're talking about close to an estimated $10 billion worth of projects that are going to reshape the city over the next several years. And honestly, that's just the beginning. First, we have a $2.1 billion expansion out at Denver International Airport. They're getting ready to handle way more passengers in the coming years. They're expanding the airport with, some major terminal upgrades. They've already added 39 new gates to keep up with that growth. By 2027, they're planning to handle 100 million passengers a year. It's crazy. And eventually up to 120 million by 2045. Now, on the other hand, there's the major makeover on 16th Street that cost about 176 million. And 16th Street just reopened this October after a complete makeover. And of course, they dropped that word mall, and now they're just calling it 16th Street. The renovation included some new bus lanes. They added 200 new trees, widened the sidewalks, and more than 20 new patios and restaurants and cafes. Now, the hope is that it will bring life back to the area and fill all those empty storefronts. Now, this one's pretty big too, the River Mile project. This is about a whole new neighborhood with homes, parks, shops, and restaurants built on 62 acres along the South Platte River. Now, the first phase is planned to start in 2026. This is completely going to change the feel of the city and turn Denver into a true river city. Wouldn't that be cool? Then there's also the World Trade Center Denver at Fox Park, which is going to bring about 3,400 new homes, a Virgin Hotel, and even an entertainment venue with cool stuff like indoor surfing, scuba diving, and ice climbing. It's going to be awesome. It's right by the 41st and Fox light rail station, so getting downtown would be super easy. And we're not even done yet. We also got the East Colfax Rapid Bus Line. This is a $280 million project that promises to cut that travel time down by about 35%. Construction wraps up in 2027. It's going to make getting around that corridor a whole lot easier. Another thing coming up is Cherry Creek West. Now, this is going to turn 13 acres of old parking lots into a mixed-use district with shops, homes, offices, and parks. It's going to be great. Construction starts in 2026, and the first buildings are expected to open around 2029. And of course, the big buzz around the city, the new Broncos Stadium at Burnham Yard. and it's going to be a huge part of all this. It's a privately funded, reportedly $4 billion stadium. It's going to have a retractable roof. It's set to open here in 2031, and the whole area around it will turn into a 100-acre entertainment district. It's going to have restaurants, housing, and a bunch of parks. And all of this is guided by the city's long-term vision for growth. If you want to see how all these projects fit together and which neighborhoods might benefit the most, I made a full video breaking everything down. I linked it in the description and in the cards above, and it'll give you a complete look at where Denver is headed over the next 5 to 10 years. So after 32 years in Denver, I can tell you this city offers something special. The sunshine, the outdoor access, and a growing tech scene. But be realistic about the traffic and housing costs before you commit. So if you're serious about moving to Denver and making this your hometown, this is the time to start planning. You know, the market moves pretty quick here and the best spots get picked up quickly. So shoot me an email at info@hometowndenver.co and I can help you figure out which neighborhoods fit your budget, your lifestyle, and your timing. Now make sure you don't wait until you're already here and rushing just to find a place. So let's get ahead of it and make this move as soon as possible. I'll see you in our next video.